Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought I'd say this out loud, but yes. I cheated on my husband. And before you rush to judge me, just listen. There's more to this story than what you think. It's not just black and white. This isn't a story about betrayal for fun, or drama for attention. This is real, raw, and a lot more complicated than just right or wrong. It started with silence, the kind of silence that creeps in slowly and then never leaves. My name's Rachel. I've been married to Mark for 8 years. From the outside, we looked fine. Happy even. We had the house, the dinner parties, the anniversary photos with matching captions. But inside our home, we were strangers sharing a kitchen. Conversations turned into short replies. Laughter faded. And every night, the space between us in bed got wider. He wasn't cruel. He didn't cheat. He didn't hit me. But somehow, I still felt like I was disappearing. I tried to fix it. I did. I brought up therapy. I planned getaways. I put in the effort. But Mark, he wasn't there anymore. Not fully. He'd come home from work, eat in silence, scroll on his phone, and go to bed. Sometimes I wondered if he even noticed me anymore. And it's wild how lonely you can feel sitting right next to the person you promised forever to. Then came someone else. It wasn't planned. It wasn't some grand romantic twist. It was just someone who listened. Someone who looked at me like I mattered. It started with small conversations. At the coffee shop, at work, at the gym, wherever. And slowly, that attention turned into comfort. That comfort turned into something more. Was it right? No. But in that moment, it felt like breathing again after holding it in for too long. I know what you're probably thinking. Why didn't you just leave? Why not talk to your husband again? Believe me, I've asked myself those same questions 100 times. This story isn't about excuses. It's about the truth, messy, painful, human truth. There's something I found out later, something about Mark, that changed everything. And no, this isn't one of those stories where it all works out and everyone hugs in the end. But it's also not what you're expecting. So, what do you think? Before you judge, before you label me as the villain, ask yourself, what would you have done? Have you ever felt truly invisible in a relationship? Have you ever stayed quiet just to keep the peace? Let me know in the comments. Would you have walked away, stayed and fought, or made the same mistake I did? And before we get into the rest of the story, just remember, not everything is as it seems. Hit the like button if you're ready for part 2, and vote in the poll: is emotional neglect just as serious as cheating? Can't wait to hear what you think. The real twist is still coming. It's easy to look back and spot the exact moment when something broke. But when you're in it, living it, you don't notice the cracks forming. You just wake up one day and realize nothing feels the same. That's how it was with me and Mark. We didn't fight. We didn't yell. There was no big blow-up. Just distance and silence. We met in college. He was calm, grounded, the type of guy who never raised his voice and always paid on time. I loved that about him. He made me feel safe. After we got married, we moved into a small apartment just outside the city. We were broke but happy. Everything felt new, full of possibilities. I thought that kind of love could survive anything. But I was wrong. Over time, things changed. He got promoted. Long hours. More meetings. More stress. And with each raise, it felt like I saw less of him. I tried to be supportive. I understood. I didn't complain. But when the long hours turned into full weekends, skipped anniversaries, and barely there conversations, I started to wonder if we were even living the same life anymore. It wasn't like I was perfect either. I had my own career, friends, things going on. But I still wanted us. I still craved the small stuff, coffee together in the morning, spontaneous late-night talks, stupid inside jokes. The things that made us feel like us. But he was always somewhere else, even when he was right there. I remember one night in particular. It was raining. Not just the usual drizzle, but one of those downpours where the sound hits your windows like static. I was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, flipping through photos on my phone. I found one of us from our honeymoon. We looked so happy, carefree, in love. I turned to show him. He was sitting next to me, on his phone, earbuds in. I said his name twice. Nothing. He didn't hear me. Or maybe he did and didn't care. I don't know what hurt more. That's around the time I started talking to someone else. It started online, casual, friendly. His name was Jason. He wasn't some stranger I met out of the blue. We worked in the same building, shared elevator rides, bumped into each other at the cafe downstairs. At first, it was innocent. Just two people chatting about random things, weather, annoying clients, lunch spots. But those small talks turned deeper. He noticed things. Like how I always wore the same necklace, or how I sighed after reading certain emails. He asked questions. Listened. He remembered things Mark hadn't noticed in years. It wasn't about falling in love. It was about finally being seen. But here's the thing, right when I thought I knew where things were heading, I found something. A message. One that Mark left open on his laptop. It wasn't meant for me. And it wasn't from a friend. The words were short, but they hit me like a punch. That's when I realized, maybe I wasn't the only one hiding something. And that's where everything started to unravel. What do you think the message said? Drop your guesses in the comments. Do you believe two people can fall out of love and not even know it until it's too late? Let me know. And don't miss the next part, because what happens after this? No one saw coming. The message on Mark's laptop was only a few lines, but it changed everything. It was from someone named Elise. I didn't recognize the name, but the way she wrote to him, it wasn't professional, and it definitely wasn't friendly. Her message said, "Last night felt different. I can't stop thinking about it. When can I see you again?" That was it. No hello. No context. Just that. But it was enough. I just sat there, staring at the screen, heart racing, hands shaking. I felt like the floor dropped under me. For a split second, I wondered if maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe it was an old message. Maybe it wasn't even what I thought it was. But no matter how I tried to explain it away, something in me knew. Mark had secrets too. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I closed the laptop and sat in silence. My mind was running in a million directions. All this time I was drowning in guilt for my own choices, thinking I was the only one who broke something. But now I wasn't so sure who betrayed who first. The next few days, I watched him differently. I noticed the little lies. The way he kept his phone face down. How he'd leave the room to take calls. How he suddenly started going to the gym more but didn't look any different. I kept replaying Elise's message in my mind. I thought about how I got here, how we got here. Was this the final proof that our marriage was already over? Or had it been over long before either of us admitted it? Meanwhile, Jason was still in the picture. He could sense something was off. I hadn't told him about what I saw on Mark's laptop. I didn't even know how. Everything felt messy, twisted. I didn't want to use Jason as an escape, but honestly, talking to him was the only time I felt like I could breathe. He asked me one night, "Are you okay? You seem distracted." I almost told him. But I didn't. Instead, I asked him a question that had been bothering me for a while. Do you think two people can love each other and still end up hurting each other? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, I think sometimes love isn't enough. Especially when people stop choosing each other. That hit hard. Now I'm stuck. I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a storm, and no matter which way I run, someone's getting hurt. Myself included. I want to believe we can fix it, or at least talk about it. But then part of me wonders, is there anything left to fix? So now I'm asking you, what would you do? If you found out your partner might be hiding something big, would you confront them? Spy a little more to be sure. Walk away. Comment below your thoughts. Have you ever been in a relationship where you both drifted without realizing it? What would you do if you were in my shoes? And trust me, the real twist. You're not ready for that yet. Keep watching. I couldn't sleep after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message from Elise playing in my head like it was burned there. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. The kind of tone you use when there's history. Something about it felt too familiar, too easy. That wasn't a one-time mistake. That was ongoing. The next few days were a blur. I found myself watching Mark like a stranger, analyzing every move, every glance, every silence. I started noticing patterns, little things that used to seem normal. The extra cologne before work. The late-night texts he said were just his brother. The way he suddenly locked his phone with a passcode, something he'd never done before. And the worst part? I didn't even feel angry. I just felt hollow. Part of me wanted to confront him right then, lay it all out, the message, my suspicions, even what I'd done with Jason. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not yet. I needed more. I needed to know if what I thought was true, or if I was just spiraling. So I did something I'm not proud of. I started looking. Checking his phone when he was in the shower. Peeking at his emails when he left the room. And then, I found something else. It was a hotel reservation. One night. Downtown. Under a different name, his middle name. Mark had never done anything like that before. I took a screenshot. Saved it. Stared at it like it might explain itself. It didn't. I had so many questions. Was it for Elise? Was this where he'd been disappearing to? Was it already over, or just getting started? Jason, meanwhile, was texting me more often. He said he missed our conversations. He wanted to see me again. But I kept dodging it. I didn't know what was right anymore. I didn't want to make another mistake. But I also didn't want to keep pretending everything at home was okay. Then, one evening, Mark came home early. No explanation. He just walked in, sat on the edge of the bed, and looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. No words. Just a long, tense silence. I could feel something hanging in the air between us, something neither of us wanted to be the first to say. My heart was racing. I didn't know if he knew about Jason. I didn't know if I should bring up Elise. We just stared at each other, like two people holding secrets they couldn't say. And then, he finally spoke. I need to tell you something. That's all he said. No emotion. Just those words. And my mind started racing. Was he going to admit it? Confess? Was he going to lie? Or twist it? I didn't say anything. I just nodded. But right before he could speak again, his phone buzzed. And the name that popped up on the screen? It wasn't Elise. So now I need to ask you, what do you think he was about to say? And who do you think texted him? Drop your guesses in the comments. This is where everything starts to come undone. The name on his phone stopped me cold. It wasn't Elise. It was someone else, Maya. At first, it didn't register. I didn't know a Maya. I'd never heard him mention her. But the timing, the way his face went pale when he saw it, it told me everything I needed to know. He didn't even try to hide it. He just stared at the screen, then slowly turned the phone face down like that would somehow erase what just happened. I didn't ask who she was. I didn't have to. But I also couldn't stay silent anymore. Who's Maya? I asked, not angry, just exhausted. He didn't answer. Not right away. He looked down at the floor, took a deep breath, and then said, "It's not what you think." Classic line. The one people always say right before it turns out to be exactly what you think. I was going to tell you, he said. That's what I came home for. I just didn't know how. I felt my chest tighten. Tell me what? And then came the twist I never saw coming. She's my daughter. I didn't even blink at first. It was like my brain glitched. Daughter? What? My first instinct was denial. What are you talking about? I asked. We don't have kids. Are you seriously trying to tell me she's not yours? He cut in, fast. She's from before us. That's when my heart dropped. He went on, talking fast now, like the words were escaping before he lost the nerve. I didn't know about her. Not until a few months ago. Her mom, someone I knew back in college, she reached out. Told me she was mine. Said Maya was 17 and wanted to meet me. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared it would ruin everything. But I've been seeing her. Trying to get to know her. That's who I've been meeting. That's what the hotel was for. Just a place to talk where no one would recognize me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. For a second, everything inside me was just static. I wanted to scream. Or cry. Or laugh at how insane it all felt. All this time I thought he was having an affair, and instead, he had a whole daughter I never knew existed. And then another question hit me, was he lying now? The hotel. The secrecy. The messages. Could he really expect me to believe it was all innocent? Or was this some half-truth to cover up something else? Everything I thought I knew about our marriage was crumbling. So now I'm asking you, do you believe him? If your partner dropped a secret like that after months of acting suspicious, would you trust them? Or would you think there's still more they're not telling you? Let me know in the comments. What would you do if you were in my position? Walk away? Dig deeper? Or hear him out? Because what I did next changed everything. I didn't say a word for a long time. I just stood there, staring at him like I was trying to read through him, see if this story about Maya was real, or just another twist in the mess we'd made of our marriage. He looked scared. Not like he was hiding something, but like he truly didn't know if this was going to be the end of us. And maybe it should have been. I should have told you, he said again, softer this time. I was scared. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I didn't want to lose the little we had left. That hit hard. Because deep down, I knew he was right. We were already falling apart. And it wasn't just because of the cheating or the secrets. It was everything that led up to it. The years of not talking. The distance. The nights we both looked at our phones instead of each other. So I sat down. Told him everything. About Jason. About how it started. About how lost I felt. I didn't hold back. I told him the truth, not to hurt him, but because I was done lying. If we were going to destroy each other, we might as well be honest while doing it. He listened. Didn't yell. Didn't walk away. He just sat there, quietly, like he'd been expecting it. I kind of figured, he said. I saw some messages weeks ago. I just couldn't bring myself to ask. There it was. Two broken people, sitting in the wreckage of everything they thought they'd built. Then came the real twist. The one that changed everything. I asked to meet Maya. He looked shocked, but nodded. A few days later, we drove to a little cafe downtown. I was nervous. I had no idea what to expect. A teenager showing up to meet the woman her dad had been hiding. What would she think of me? And then she walked in. Young. Quiet. But confident. She looked at me, then at Mark, then sat down. Her first words. I already know who you are. My mom told me everything. But that's not why I wanted to meet. Mark and I exchanged glances. Why, then? I asked. She looked at both of us and said, because I think I might be sick. And I needed to know if you were really my dad. Everything in that moment shifted. The tension between me and Mark vanished. The cheating, the lies, the emotional mess, it all went quiet. Because now, it wasn't just about us anymore. This girl, this secret daughter, might be dealing with something serious. And she needed answers. Fast. So here we are. Two people who broke each other trying to figure out if they can put the pieces back together, not for themselves, but for someone they never expected to share a life with. Would you stay and help? Or walk away and protect your peace? Tell me in the comments, because the story's not over. Not even close. Mark and I sat in silence after Maya's words. That kind of truth doesn't hit all at once, it sinks in slowly, spreading through your thoughts like fog. She looked scared, but not for the same reasons we were. Her fear wasn't about betrayal or love lost. It was about her health. About her future. And in that moment, nothing else really mattered. We went with her to get the tests. Mark gave his DNA sample without hesitation. He was terrified, I could see it, but he never flinched. A week later, the results confirmed what deep down, we all already knew. Maya was his daughter. And yes, she was sick. Not life-threatening, but serious enough to need family medical history. Her mom had kept her hidden for years, out of spite, maybe fear. But now, everything was out. Over the next few weeks, something strange happened. The anger between Mark and me turned into teamwork. We weren't fighting anymore, we were supporting. Driving Maya to appointments, sitting together in waiting rooms, filling out paperwork. Slowly, we started talking again. Not like husband and wife, but like two people who had once chosen each other for a reason. And as for Jason, I ended things. Not with bitterness, but with closure. I told him I was grateful for his kindness, for seeing me when I felt invisible. But I needed to heal. Not jump into something new. He understood. Maybe he even expected it. Mark and I didn't magically fix everything. We didn't fall back into love like some movie scene. But we did something more real. We chose to stay in the same room. To talk. To try. We started therapy. Not for the perfect marriage, but for something honest. As for Maya, she became the bridge between two people who almost gave up. Watching her face light up when she found out she and Mark shared the same weird habit of tapping their thumb when they're thinking, that moment said more than any apology ever could. So here's the truth. Relationships are messy. People make mistakes. Big ones. But sometimes, what matters more is what you do after the damage is done. Do you run? Or do you sit in the ruins and see what can still grow? Let me know in the comments, did I make the right choice staying? Would you have left? And do you want to see what happens next? If this story meant something to you, give it a like, drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe. I've got more stories, real, raw, and full of the kinds of twists life throws when you least expect them.